We have some new information tonight in an absolutely horrific case here in Atlanta where two toddlers were killed. We just got the 911 call from the mom who was charged with their murders. And while many aspects of this case are too disturbing to go into detail, we're choosing to play a portion of the call to help give some context to the mother's state of mind when she made that call.
Two of my kids are dead. What do I gotta do? They dead. She left them in the house by themselves. She left them in here.
And as we've reported before, the mother, Lamora Williams, allegedly told police she left the children with a babysitter, and when she returned hours later, the toddlers were dead, but police said they are not believing her story. So how could this happen? That's a phrase many of us use in response to some of the horrific stories we have to report on. And as we investigated this story, we found that some people in the neighborhood claimed that they knew there had been a lot of issues in that house. Yeah. So that raises really an important question tonight. If people knew bad things were happening to those children, why didn't anyone speak up? Call DFACS or call police. Ron Jones is with us covering that part of the story tonight. You went back to that mom's neighborhood, spoke to folks there. What did you find out?
You know, it's really interesting. I learned that reporting crimes to police in the inner city and the urban areas, it can be very complicated here, Vinny. You know, some people feel they're breaking the snitch code if they report their neighbors or they call the police and say, hey, you know, my neighbor's doing this, that, or the other. You know, I'm not saying that's the case in this situation, but it could be a factor here. Shortly after we got to the crime scene, we interviewed neighbors and listened to this one guy, what he had to say when we were interviewing him. He mentioned that the babies were abandoned for hours. Listen.
Basically, from what all my neighbors say, they was in the house from about 12 in the afternoon till nighttime by themselves. I was at work when I got home from work. Came in the house last night. I seen all the commotion, the sirens, heard yelling outside, came outside, and that's what we found out.
Now, Vinny, you just heard that. He mentioned the babies, all three of them, actually three of those kids. They were home alone, and some of the neighbors knew about it, and it was going on for hours. So if that is the case, we wanted to know, we've just been talking about this, why didn't anyone call police? Why didn't anyone call DFACS? So I went back to the neighborhood, and I asked, why aren't those crimes reported? And I spoke with several people there, and the consistent theme there was that they feared retaliation. Listen.
The snitch factor is a main thing with basically why calling the police. This is why people don't call the police, because it's basically about snitching.
Is it because they're mainly concerned about their own safety if they were to call?
True. Correct. Some people worried about if they call the police, what's going to be the retaliation to it. You know, a lot of people walk their kids back and forth to schools, or they walk and go in places, so they don't know who they calling the police or telling the police on. And then when the police do come here, it's like, oh my God, me and my kids are fear of our life because we don't know what this person may do to me and mine.
So they're concerned about their personal safety, you know, but that still does not justify.
Yeah, well, and even in a case like this, where you're talking about the victims are toddlers, 1 and 2 years old, and still having some reservations about doing something.
Right, and you know, if there are crimes in that particular neighborhood, it could be not just what we're talking about now with the babies, it could be a shooting that's taking place or maybe a drug deal that went down. A lot of times those folks do not want to report that because they are concerned.
Self-preservation.
Yeah, that's right. You know, they want to stay safe.
For yourself and your family.
Yeah, but we do need to point this out here, Vinny. We reached out to the police and DFACS to see if calls were made to Mrs. Williams' home, and we're still waiting for that information.
All right, Ron, appreciate it. Thanks so much.